Welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, Dom Kwabenya MP stalls works of Privileges Committee of Parliament again after she failed to appear before the committee despite her invitation published in national dailies. We have details of that tonight. Also, meeting between aggrieved teacher unions and government ends inconclusively as the striking teachers vow to continue with their industrial action until government heed their request to pay them COLA.
20% COLA, non-negotiable. The government has been so insensitive to us. We know that the fuel price has increased. We know the foodstuff and goods and services have increased, and our salary has remained same.
And 1 in every 5 children in Ghana, aged 2 to 17, has a functional difficulty, but many teachers are unable to detect this. The consequences are dire.
Generally, we realize that there seem to be many more children with disabilities, otherwise referred to as differently able students or learners, than we thought.
We'll find out what is accounting for the situation in the country and efforts to correct it. Tonight, former Attorney General Ayikwe Otu chickens out of NPP chairmanship race barely a week to the party's National Delegates Conference.
Honorable Ayikwe Otu, who was vying for the position of national chairman of the party, has however since withdrawn from the race.
We have details of at least 3 more aspirants who have resigned despite being cleared by the vetting committee. We'll also focus on first-time aspirant Ameyawe Kumfi, who is promising unity and discipline.
We are guided by the constitution of the party. And using the constitution, we should be able to institute discipline.
That's part of our build-up to the MPP National Executive Contest.
Yeah,
Ordinance when you before Kwanso and answer.
Before Kwanso.
Dr. Rakubo, when someone who came there, I know.
Well, leading member of the NPP, Charles Rekrubobe, reviews fragmented relationship with longtime friend, President Akufo-Addo, alleging he almost spoke to his eye. We have details of that.
And in business, Bank of Ghana directs commercial banks and deposit-taking institutions not to undertake any customer transaction without the Ghana card.
And in sports, Felix Afenejani keeps growing from strength to strength as he signs a long-term deal with his club side, AS Roma. We'll bring you details much later.
And then we are in the UK, where the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is vowing to keep going amid pressure from within as 6 ministers and 32 MPs resign.
Yes, I think it was a mistake, and I apologise for it. I think in hindsight it was the wrong thing to do. I apologise to everybody who's been badly affected.
That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. You want to join us with your thoughts and comments? It's 055-1111-997. We're live on Facebook and myjoyonline.com.
And she's Emefa, Apawu, Evans Mensah. Let's start with the biggest story in the last 48 hours, the fact that all teachers in the pre-tertiary education sector are still on strike. And today, a meeting between these aggrieved unions and government has ended, but ended inconclusively as the striking teachers vowed to continue with their industrial action until government heed their request to pay them the cost of living allowance.
So we know these 4 teacher unions, NAGRAT, NAT, TEU and CCT, on Monday declared an indefinite strike as they demand 20% of their base pay as an allowance to cushion them against the harsh economic conditions facing the country. Well, barely 24 hours after their declaration, more labor unions started turning up the heat on government to pay them 20% COLA too. We'll get details of the outcome of the meeting between the teacher unions and government shortly. But first, Rafiq Salam reports there was no classroom activity in the Upper West region on day 2 of the strike.
It is day 2 of the teacher strike in the Upper West region. Schools in the region have completely been deserted by the teachers. Here at the One Model Primary School, the school looks more like a ghost town. Out of the over 30 teachers in the school, only 1 was present at the time we got here. For fear of being victimized by authorities, she refused to either be on camera or speak on tape. The school has a pupil population of 1,000, and majority of them reported to the school in the morning but had to leave due to the absence of the teachers at the school. All classrooms in the 2 football field-sized school compound are under lock and key. The school feeding caterers, though asked by authorities to continue cooking services for the pupils are not at post, and their makeshift storerooms are only filled with firewood. No food for the few obedient pupils who defy the strike to stay and study on their own. I bump into these junior high school final year pupils who are on their way home from the school who share their frustrations over the strike.
We are not learning anything, and BEC is also coming ahead of us. If we do not learn anything, what are we going to go and write at the BEC when the day comes? So that's why we are just afraid. We are not happy with what is happening. So a lot is happening. None of the teachers want to teach us, and the teachers too are afraid to come into their class to teach us. So we are begging the government to pay our teachers, and we will be able to go to school and learn hard and pass our BEC.
Few meters away from them is another group of pupils heading in the same direction. They appeal to the government to listen to the concerns of the teacher unions for them to return to the classrooms.
But once they are strike, we can learn. Yes. They don't teach us. Yes. We want them to teach us.
But what
we are teaching ourselves, but we went and do some small classes and we are going home again.
Okay. So now it's up to you to do your own classes?
Yes.
Okay, what do you want the government to do?
We want them to increase our teachers' salary so that they will teach us.
For some pupils in the one municipality, the teacher strike is an avenue for them to gallivant around, at least on the blind side of their parents and guardians. A clear case is these leaderless pupils who were spotted by our camera around the Apawu Coordinating Council. This surely is not good for optics, as observers are mumbling and grumbling over the issue. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wah.
I'll take you to the Ashanti region now, and our checks there reveal no academic activity in pre-tertiary institutions there today. We can hear from the Ashanti Regional NAT Chairman Prosper Techi, urging parents to keep their children at home.
Basically, we talk about rising cost of living, and that is why we want government to adjust, give us something, cost of living. Let me state, we are not on living wages, and for that matter, when we get to this situation, we expect government to also cushion us a bit, and that is exactly what we are doing. At the end of the day, we'll come back to the negotiation table, is that not it? And this could have been done earlier to avert this situation. We are informing teachers, the union members, and the parents that for this week, they should ask the children, the students, people to stay away from school.
Well, there have been negotiations today. I'll take you shortly for the very latest on this. At least we know that it ended inconclusively. We'll give you details as to why that happened. But my colleague in the Central Region, Richard Kojonyako, has been checking on the impact of the strike today. He joins us on the line with more. Richard, what can you report? What was the situation like on day 2?
Well, Emefa, following what happened yesterday when the school pupils went to school and the teachers did not turn up, today there were no classes at all. The schools were open as usual. I saw head teachers there ensuring that anyone who came to school also left because their colleagues did not come. And so that was the situation. In fact, in all the schools that I visited, the schools were not in session. At the senior high school, however, the situation was a bit different because they are having school and college sports festival, and so the teachers are there with the students, and so they are not joining the strike now. They are supervising the students in the sports activities, but on their various campuses, lectures or teaching and learning or academic activities are not going on.
Well, so that's the situation in the Central Region today. Let's stay on the line a while longer and bring in the member of the leadership of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Isaac Barr. He's in charge of salaries and conditions of service. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. I suppose you were part of today's negotiations, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and how did it end inconclusively?
So, like you already know, we have requested for something. Actually, we have requested between 20 to 30% COLA. So we were invited, but government came with empty-handed. So it ended like that.
How? How did government come empty-handed?
Well, we don't know, but like you are aware, we have already presented a request. They know our demands already, but I don't know. They came empty-handed, so we ended the meeting.
It appears that this meeting didn't last long, from what you're saying.
Yes, it didn't. It didn't.
But who asked for the meeting? Is it government?
Yeah, we were invited by the Minister of Employment, Labor Relations. The Minister of Education was also there. Our employer, the Director General, was also there. And then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission CEO was there. And there were people from the Ministry of Finance.
And they called the meeting, and yet you say when you went there, they had nothing to offer you.
Yes.
Did they explain why?
That they don't have the mandate.
They don't have the mandate?
Yes.
Then why did they call you into the meeting?
Well, they were requesting we call off the strike, and if possible, then we start negotiation.
Well, we're curious. We have the education minister there.
Yes.
We had the employment and labor relations minister there. I hear
Yeah.
you say the finance ministry, you had a representative of
Yes.
the finance ministry, and you
Yes.
had the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Those who are supposed to pay actually is the finance ministry. What did the representative of the finance ministry tell you?
He didn't talk at all.
I mean, when they say they didn't have the mandate, did they say who had the mandate?
Yeah, but you see, cases like this, I think maybe they need some executive decision, but I think that has not been done yet. So I think that is where they were driving at.
I seen the president or the finance minister must take a decision. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so they didn't have the mandate, so they didn't offer you anything. So what did they offer you? Did they beg you to call off the strike whilst they
Yeah,
get the mandate?
they pressed on that.
On what? That you should call off the strike?
Exactly.
In exchange for?
So that we sit down to negotiate.
But isn't that something? At least?
No, at least, look, we have already submitted a request, okay, way back. This thing started from February, okay? So at least you know what we are demanding. So you should be prepared before inviting us.
Okay, so did they say when next you should come back for another meeting?
No, sir.
Are you going back to the classrooms tomorrow?
No, we are not going back to the classroom.
Oh, why?
Because our demands have not been met. So we are not going back to the classroom until we get what we want.
Until you get 20% COLA?
Between 20 to 30.
Not just 20, between 20 to 30%.
Yes.
But even the 20%, you went into a meeting today and it looks like nothing was going to happen. Are you really hopeful you're going to get this? It appears you stay at home for a while, won't you?
Well, it's up to government. If he wants us to continue to stay home, we will stay home.
Well, please stay with us. Let's bring in the Ministry of Education. And thankfully, the PRO joins us, Mr. Kwesi Kwating. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So yesterday, you were confident that going into this meeting today, something substantial was going to happen. How did it end inconclusively? We are told that you went into the meeting telling them you didn't have the mandate.
Well, the briefing that I have from my minister is that government side, which was ably represented by the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, started the meeting by, first of all, listening officially to the concerns of the teacher unions. And from the government side, what we did was to appeal to the teacher unions so that within the interim, they will call off their strike so that all the further engagements can continue. And so that is the position of the government, that yes, we are willing to engage the teacher unions just like we started today. We believe the other concerns are very legitimate, except to say that within the interim, we will appeal to them that they call off the strikes while we continue to engage with them to find a lasting solution to this strike impasse
You know, the workers seem to be telling us tonight that it no be appeal, they go chop. They say they want 20%. And I suggest that you went to the meeting to say you didn't have the mandate for the 20% negotiations. Is that true, though, that was the position, that you didn't have the mandate for the 20% negotiations?
I am not sure the consideration that the government was providing was just an appeal. The appeal was just part of the process of engagement. That, well, we are going to engage you on the substantive matter. What is the substantive matter here? The substantive matter has to do with the 20% demand, which in extent happens to be the cost of living allowance. But government was saying that, yes, we are willing to engage you on that. But we are appealing to you that in the interest of industrial harmony, in the interest of our students, please do call off the strike whilst we engage. I am unable to speak to issues about government not having the mandate of to negotiate. But at the end of the day, if you have a representation of Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, you have Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and then the implementers and the workers of these teacher unions, which happens to be the Ghana Education Ministry of Education, I do not think an issue of not having the mandate will come in. So for us, our position is that their concerns are valid. Their concerns are something that we are ready to engage upon, but we are saying that in the interim, we will appreciate and will continue to appeal that they try to at least soften their stance, have a very, how do you call it? Let me put, for lack of better words, a considerate position ahead of what any future engagements that we will have.
But tonight we just had them say they had you this morning in a meeting, but they will not call off the strike. Well, what is the education ministry going to do?
Yes, we will continue to engage them, both formally, informally, officially, and unofficially. We'll continue to engage them. I mean, I can obviously speak to today's meeting, the outcome of today's meeting, and I am sure that based on today's meeting, government side obviously will meet again, just like the teacher unions that we've appealed to. I have always believed that teachers have the goodwill, they have the commitment to work, and they do not enjoy strike just like any other workers. Just like I'm sure they obviously may contact their constituents for all consequential decisions. I am very hopeful that within the shortest possible time, the government is also going to communicate probably the next action, which obviously has to be further engagement. And I'm hopeful that when we engage them subsequently, hopefully within the week or before the weekends, we should probably find some level of progress.
Let me ask the rep from the NAT, who is still with us, Mr. Bart. So let me ask you, Mr. Bart. So the optimism from the Education Ministry is that hopefully by the end of the week they can make progress. Do you share that optimism?
If they call us even tonight that they want to meet us, we'll go.
So for you, the only thing that would change is the 20%, nothing more, nothing less.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly so.
Okay. And Mr. Kwarteng, so you've heard him. That's the only thing that will get them to go back.
I mean, that if you look at the history of all strikes within this country, I mean, every position is respected. Their positions are valid. But I know that at the end of the day, there will be some consensus building. And that is the beauty of negotiation. And that is what we hope to achieve at the end of the day.
Mr. Kwarteng, finally, while you negotiate and you hope to come back with a meeting, the children are in school without teachers. Do you have a contingency plan in place?
Yes, so in the interim, just like the directive that was given by the Ghana Education Service, that all stands, that the management of the school should, in the interim, take care of the children, especially those who are within the boarding category. And at the basic school level, the schools will be open, while the headmasters or the head teachers is expected to take charge. But I mean, naturally, you know that especially within the schools, when there is strike, you won't even find the students in the school. But the contingency plan, I am aware, National Service personnel, they are at post. They are helping together and with the collaboration with the directors of the education, both at the regional and the district level, with some school management. They are also helping in the interim. But we hope that as soon as possible, we are able to address the concerns that has been raised by our teacher union so that we get things back to normalcy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kwarting. Thank you, Mr. with Nat. And tonight on PM Express, they will speak to the defense minister, who says he is concerned about the industrial and labor unrest currently in the midst of an economic crisis and with government negotiations with the IMF. I asked him the question about, is he worried that this could potentially trigger instability? And he says yes, it's a real concern of his, and so he's appealing to the workers to be moderate, but also to be mindful of the implications on national security. Very fascinating conversation there. He also talks about his personal sacrifices in the midst of the economic crisis. He believes that all the ministers should do same, and some are doing already.
Say what he's been doing.
Yeah, he says now he
Don't
drives.
give it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should watch PM Express tonight. Dominic Nitto talking about the economic crisis, the IMF bailout, impact on defense and security, and his personal sacrifices, at the ministry and the cuts that his ministry is taking, all in the interest of austerity. All that at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel.
Well, let's stay a while longer on the education front. This time, 1 in every 5 children between the age 2 to 17 have functional difficulty, which is more prevalent in the 5 to 17 years age group when compared to children between 2 and 4 years. So there appears also an inadequate understanding of teachers about the characteristics displayed by such learners. Well, this is according to findings by the Institute for Educational Planning and Administration at the University of Cape Coast. The findings, which seek to identify challenges confronting inclusive education in Ghana, indicate that pupils with disabilities have consistently poorer learning outcomes in reading, writing, and maths than pupils without disabilities. The Director General of the Institute, Dr. Michael Boachi-Yadom, tells Joy News the challenge needs urgent attention.
Generally, we realize that there seem to be many more children with disabilities, otherwise referred to as differently able students or learners, than we thought. There also appears to be a lot of misunderstanding, inadequate knowledge about the characteristics of these differently abled learners. We might have assumed that many teachers have a very good idea, good knowledge of who they are, how they operate, and how to support them. But what we are realizing is that knowledge on the kids and who they are, their characteristics, is limited. And then thirdly, we are also realizing that even when it comes to data on differently abled kids, where they are, who they are, their characteristics, data is also limited, especially within our context. So these are very broad findings that we have come out with. We are putting our report together. The report will come out with very clear recommendations, very specific calls for action, directed to very specific individuals, very specific organizations, very specific ministries for all of us to act. So to directly answer your question, when the report is ready, it is action time. It is action time for us to hit the ground running. We have done a lot in the past, and if you go into literature, and even in Ghana, a lot have been done. But we still have many more to do, because the children with disabilities are many more than we ever imagined.
I mean, it's pretty alarming, right? 1 in every 5 Ghanaian children, they have functional learning difficulties in the classrooms. And we spoke to some of the teachers, and they tell Joy News the absence of requisite training and equipment to enhance inclusive education is affecting teaching and learning in the classrooms.
We are limited as teachers in identifying learners who are having disabilities, and other ways treating them to becomes quite difficult, because we don't have that kind of adequate training to handle them. So we are limited in delivering services to them.
As teachers, we are trying our very best to identify at least the minor ones that we can identify and manage them appropriately. Sometimes the sitting position in classes also, it's one of the methods we use to help such people, especially those who have problems with maybe their eyes or the ears. So someone having problem with the left or the right ear, you position a child in a way that When you talk, it goes to the right ear for the person to hear. Sometimes you move them from the back closer to the board so that you see whatever we are doing. But having totally blind students, excuse me to say, in a class, it's quite difficult to manage because, you know, they read with the brailles. So in inclusive environments, we don't have such tools to help the children. So those with the minor ones, we try to manage it as teachers.
The problem is that we have a lot of policies, but the implementation, and most of the times teachers are excluded when it comes to formulating the policies.
Well, some teachers there, and you heard them, the policies are in place, but the implementation really is the concern. But let's look at the interventions put in place by the Ministry of Education. My colleague Kofi J is with the research desk. He joins us in the studio with findings on these interventions, including dealing with inclusive education in the country. Kofi, what data do you have to share with us?
Right, Emefa. So Ghana has an inclusive and special education program which seeks to ensure the provision of education for children with special physical and mental needs by integrating them into the formal system or special schools. Now, according to data released by the Education Ministry, there are 31 special public schools, out of which 4 are second cycle schools. And in 2021, according to them, a total of 1,281 teachers were trained on how to manage and support learners with specific learning difficulties.
Well, that's interesting, the data that we have on this situation. But let's find out how some private international schools are able to deal with this, because it appears that it's almost non-existent in some public schools, for which reason some children are described as very dumb. They are not really following in terms of the things that the teachers are teaching. Thankfully, Priscilla Afote is a speech therapist. She joins us on phone with details of this. We are grateful for your time. So let us in on how private schools such as yours are able to run this model of inclusive teaching and learning successfully.
Thank you very much. So, what so that we use the approach. So we get, of course, other therapists, have the occupational therapist, the physiotherapist, we have the special educators, the special educators, and then we also have the social analysis. So what we do is, in our own way, their needs.
No, apologies. It looks like we have a terrible connection to Priscilla's phone. I would try again and see if we can wrap up this with her quickly on this, because the statistics rather worrying, and in the coming days we'll focus a lot more on inclusive education, inclusive learning, teaching and learning for children. We know that there are some children who are dyslexic, but teachers are unable to detect this. We heard some teachers say that the policies are in place, but the implementation really is the concern for them.
Let's quickly turn our attention to Parliament now, where John Hughes understands the MP for Dom Kwabenya, Sarah Joasafo, once again failed to appear before the Privileges Committee to answer questions on why she has been absenting herself from Parliament. Her conduct and that of 2 MPP MPs, Kennedy Ejapon and Henry Quartey, were referred to the committee by the Speaker, Abong Babwing. The committee published its invitation in the national dailies and also gave her the opportunity to appear via video conferencing. But the MP has still not showed up, either in person or via virtual link. Kweku Asante, parliamentary correspondent, is in the studio with details of this. We know she was expected a month ago. Tell us the story of how this was moved to today.
So a month ago, when the committee decided to meet her, she was unavailable because they sent the invitation to her office in Parliament, to her ministry, to her pigeonhole, to her residence here in Accra. They still could not reach her. So the committee decided then to publish her invitation through the national dailies. And also, given that she had explained in an interview to Joy News that she was taking care of her children in the US, they wanted to send her a virtual link so that if she was not going to be able to come to Ghana and meet the committee in person, so that she could do so via video conferencing. So the committee decided to give her this 1-month period and sent the invitation to her in the US, according to the committee. The committee sat to the Evans. They sat for close to 3 hours waiting for her to join. The link they said they had provided for her to be able to join, for them to interview her, she did not show up. So my sources within the committee tell me that they decided that they were going to finish the report on the 2 MPs that they've been able to deal with and then present it to the House and then tell the House that one of the MPs you referred to us, we've not been able to reach her. But they've decided to give another 1 week window from now till next week, by which they'll be preparing the report for the 2 MPs anyway. And if she still does not show up, then they'll present the report on the 2 MPs to Parliament.
So today was just for her?
For her.
So
actually, they took the opportunity to meet Honorable Henry Korte again, who presented some evidence regarding his health status. And so he presented some documents from some hospitals outside the country to back his case that he was outside seeking medical attention at the time. But that was just for a brief period. Indeed, actually went by the committee. You could see the MPs in a very relaxed mode. They had opened the video conferencing on the wall, waiting for her to join. She did not.
Yeah, I mean, that's curious. So they came to sit down, looking at the screen, hoping that Sarah Joseph will appear on the screen, and then she stared at the screen for a while and decided to just leave.
Because what they had done was to send the invitation to almost every avenue they thought they could reach her through.
So all she needed to do was to click on it and
join.
Yeah.
But the committee, some of the members explained to me that they have not had a direct response from the MP. As in, they've not been able to send the request, the link to her, and said, okay, I've received the link. But they've sent to the number they have as colleague MPs, her email address, her ministry, her residential address, even the PA to the minister to send the link to the boss. The PA said he's done so. And so they believe in their mind that the MP should have received the link and the invitation
and appeared
by
on
now.
the screen.
She's still not coming through. She's not appearing on the screen.
Yeah, so she didn't appear on the screen. Okay, so this has been adjourned for a week, hoping that she will somehow in the week appear on the screen, and then appear on the screen or in Ghana in person.
Well, the screen now they've obviously put off the link, but they're expecting that within that 1 week, maybe she will listen to some counsel and decide to make herself available.
Either still virtual or still in person.
It's still in person.
Okay. Oh, so that's the latest on the Sarah Joseph story from Parliament. So listen to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM after business.
Yeah, Oshama Yati you say woman.
Ordinance when you before Kwanso and answer.
Before Kwanso.
Hey, Dr. Rakubo, when someone walking there, I know.
After business, we'll be hearing from Charles Rekrubobe, revealing fragmented relationship with longtime friend President Akufo-Addo, alleging that the president almost poked his eye at a funeral. You want to stay for details of that?
Well, George Afe is joining us now. He's not appearing on the screen. He's here in person. Hello, George.
Hi, Evan.
Oh, the screen is behind you, and you're in front of it.
That things are okay a little bit, virtual meetings are coming down, and we are doing more in-person meetings.
That's true. That's what Parliament is hoping for, an in-person. What would you have in business?
Well, Evans, coming up, Bank of Ghana directs commercial banks and deposit-taking institutions not to undertake any customer transaction without the Ghana card. And Ghana's program with the IMF is expected to run into an election year after government projected a minimum of 7 months for negotiations. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. Alliance Life and Ghana Pay. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Bank of Ghana has directed commercial banks and deposit-taking institutions not to undertake any transaction for customers without processing their Ghana cards. This was contained in guidelines note issued by the Bank of Ghana on the use of the Ghana card for financial transactions in the country. There's more in this report.
Bank of Ghana noted that this directive is in line with the National Identity Register regulations, which makes the use of the National Identity Card compulsory for all transactions where identity is needed in the country. The Bank of Ghana argued that it is also trying to reduce fraud in the banking sector. It also assured customers that the process to link the Ghana card with bank accounts has not expired and they can still go ahead to do so at the various banks. Commercial banks and deposit-taking institutions were also advised they can allow deposits into accounts of customers that are yet to be updated with their records with the Ghana cards, while those that don't have the Ghana card can still make the deposits. But the Bank of Ghana insists withdrawals cannot be done without the Ghana card. Exemptions will be made for foreign nationals as they can use their passport for transactions. Well, it appears this is hitting or affecting accounts opening. The Bank of Ghana has therefore maintained that in situations where there are verification issues, the customer should be given about 90 days to update its records with the commercial bank.
That is a business desk report. Meanwhile, head of financial stability at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Joseph France, says their directive was influenced by fresh updates from the National Identification Authority.
NIA, from information that we have, targeted to register about 90 million Ghanaians. And so far, the information that we have is that they've registered about 16.8 million Ghanaians. So from this data, I think that only few Ghanaians, and of course they've opened centers too, that if you don't have your Ghana card, you can easily go and get it done. I'm yet to see people in the system who are unable to have their Ghana card, and they have made efforts, and they have. I'm yet to hear of that. So it's based on that we came out, because we did all this before we came out this categorical dates that look, you will not be. And of course, we're also reliably informed, and of course we've also checked with NIA that make sure that you have all these centers available. That is why we have brought in this proviso. Otherwise, Ghanaians here, every Ghanaian here should have a Ghana card and should be able to access Ghana card to do the linkage and to transact business.
Dr. Joseph France is head of Financial Stability Department at the Bank of Ghana. Let's still stay on the banking sector, because the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana from July 20 to 22nd begin meeting to review the health of the economy and possibly set a new policy rate. Inflation rate is still rising despite the recent monetary measures taken by the Bank of Ghana. It is not clear for now whether the Bank of Ghana may look at another rate hike. The rate currently stands at 19%, or maybe it will still want to wait a while and see how the previous rates may hit the market and impact on inflation rate in the country. Now, the country's program with the IMF is likely to run into an election year. This was after a government projected that it expects the program negotiations to last at least 7 months. So, looking at the timelines now, it is likely that a program could take off next year, and it will take about 3 years to run, and that could be concluded in 2025. Now, this may have some implications on the budget overruns, especially in an election year. Or some have argued that going ahead with this, a similar thing happened in 2015, where a program was signed and went into an election year. In a related development, a partner at accounting firm, that is Deloitte Yaolati, says it might not be in government's interest for the negotiations with the IMF to drag.
What is expected to happen is that, given that our process or our decision to go to IMF took a bit longer than expected, some of the numbers or the data that we are seeing today relative to what we subscribed to in 2015 are looking a bit worse than the 2015 data, particularly on the debt level. Our debt level is elevated now. So in 2015, when we went on the program, our debt to GDP was 66%. Currently, as we speak, it's close to 80%. So that's one. And then we also have inflation. Our inflation, it's about 27% now. In 2015, it was about 16%. So you can see that there are some specific indicators that have gone, or let's say, worse. And so government or the engagement may take longer. Right. Because the process is that the longer you take to subscribe onto the program, the worse your situation will be. And if your situation is a bit difficult, you will take longer in the process of signing.
Yaolati is a partner at accounting and advisory firm Deloitte. The World Bank has indicated that it remains committed to helping government stabilize the economy in these challenging times. The World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte disclosed this at the launch of the Tourism SME Grant Initiative in Accra today. He's been given details on how much they have disbursed the country in just a year.
This year, between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, the World Bank approved a total of $903 million for Ghana. Never in the history of Ghana has any development institution approved such a large amount of money in one single year. And I take the opportunity to thank my colleague development partners for working together toward the common goal of helping reduce poverty in Ghana.
World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte. Now, the Managing Director of LG Electronics Ghana, Dong Yong Kim, has described Ghana as a leading investment hub to facilitate trade and drive development. Speaking to Joy Business in response to why the company chose Ghana for launch of its KillNet and mini LED TVs and Insta-View registration. That is registration.
5-6 years ago, we thought Ghana would be a very fast moving country, and based on the political stability and the economy, the growth, we selected at the time Ghana would be our strategic country. So that's why we set up our office here. And then second thing, and then we invested our time and resources here.
And that is Dong Yong Kim. He's Managing Director for LG Electronics Ghana. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
George, thank you very much. Now, in today's edition of Joy News Tracker, Jojo Kabana tracks the government's promise to modernize the railway service. Residents of Nsawam are yearning for the revival of the Ghana Railway Service, which, according to them, will boost the local economy. But the Ghana Railway Development Authority, however, says it cannot tell when the rail service will begin due to safety concerns.
There are several things that went wrong in our country after we got independence. But one of the worst was the way we allowed our railway infrastructure to deteriorate. Ghana, we are going to have a first-class railway
system. This promise brought hope to many who witnessed the gradual collapse of the once vibrant Ghana Railway Company Limited. The construction of the company started in 1898 in Sekondi, and the rail lines reached Kumasi in 1903. From the hinterlands to the Takrady Harbour, trains brought raw materials including timber, bauxite, manganese and cocoa.
And after all, the black man is capable of managing the whole of us.
Many years after Ghana's independence, the railway infrastructure witnessed little maintenance to no maintenance, and subsequently ruins. The NPP government was poised to revive the industry. Opariado is a retired Ghana Railway Company worker. He is so attached to his company that even after more than a decade of retirement, he still visits the Nsawam train station to reflect on the company's state of affairs.
To me, the railway sector is not working. This is not the company I used to work for. The rail sector has collapsed. It kept the local economy buzzing. The rail service benefited farmers and traders, but today everything is on the downturn. Government says it is reviving the rail sector, but I have not seen any development. The train is no longer moving, and so I'm heartbroken.
The Nsawam railway station now lies in near ruin and ends abruptly after the main Nsawam road. Due to many years of neglect of the rail tracks, thieves have stolen the lines and sold them as scraps.
From these railways crossing up to Chichamante, the risks are nowhere to be found. And now the place where they have to put the railway lines, people have put up their buildings over there. You just go to Kenya about 4 to 5 years ago, and you love the country. Now Kenya trains are flying ahead, and we Ghana, even our train is not moving at all.
Yao Wusu is the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority.
What I'll tell the people who are yearning to use the line is the fact that we want to make sure we get it right. As I mentioned to you, we want to minimize any risk of potential derailment or safety. All right, so as a matter of fact, we do have plans. Those lines as they exist now, those are the old narrow gauge. We have plans to develop new standard gauge. That may take a little bit longer time. I can't put any timeline. To be honest with you, I cannot put any timeline. I'll be deceiving you if I put any timeline on there, but we are fervently working on it.
And Jojo Kobna with the tracker. I catch the full detail of this across all our social media handles and on Joy News as well. Let's do sports now, and there's some very good news for a promising Ghanaian footballer. Oriku is here with the details.
Well, Italian club side AS Roma have announced that forward Felix Afenajan has signed a new contract with the Giallorossi. The 19-year-old has agreed terms on a 4-year extension that runs until 30th June 2026. Having joined the club's youth setup in the early part of 2021, Afenajan quickly progressed from the youth side, and at the start of the 2021-2022 campaign, he was called up to the first team by Jose Mourinho. The Ghana international has made 22 appearances for Roma till date, scoring 2 goals. Felix is a happy man after extending his contract.
I feel great, and I'm happy to sign my new contract for the team because they had believe in me. That's why they gave me this contract. So I'm happy I signed my new contract here. When I first came here with the under-18, I told myself I need to get there, take this opportunity to get to the first team. And God being so good, I made it to the first team. I learned from the last season.
Well, Felix Afenajan played a crucial role in Ghana's qualification to the World Cup for the Black Stars.
And former Attorney General Ayikwei Otu has chickened out from the NPP chairmanship race barely a week to the party's National Delegate Conference. This is despite being cleared by the vetting committee to run in the election. The former High Commissioner Canada had put himself up to be elected to lead the governing party into the 2024 elections as its chairman. But he had insisted that he was the right man to help the party break the 8 just weeks when he spoke to you on PM Express.
Be about me.
But you're going to be the chairman.
Sure.
You must convince the electorate.
How many votes do you think I have?
No, you have 1.
Yes.
But I'm talking about when you go before the party's delegates.
So it is a collective thing.
That was about barely a week for the polls. Mr. Ayikwei Otu has chickened out of the race. Here's chairman of the party's election committee, Peter McMahon, announcing his resignation.
Prospective aspirants for the positions of national organizer, national women's organizer, and national youth organizer, that is Dr. Kwame Afriye, Kosia Sewa Bonsu, and Tumfo Klinsman Kakari Mensah, respectively resigned their decisions to contest. In effect, they withdrew from the contest. As a result of the diligence of the National Election Committee and the preparedness of the prospective aspirants, no appeals against the nomination of any prospective aspirant were recorded by the National Appeals Committee headed by Honorable Dan Boche, which had scheduled Friday 24th to Saturday 25th of June 2022 for the hearing of appeals.
Well, he's also been warning that persons caught in acts of vote buying during its impending delegates conference will be arrested and prosecuted.
For the avoidance of doubt, the National Party will be responsible for transportation, accommodation, and feeding of all delegates throughout the conference. All aspirants and all their agents are therefore warned not to engage in any untoward behavior that can be interpreted as bribery.
Well, that's Peter McMahon. He leads the committee in charge of the election. But at least one person out. We have others to go. And 77-year-old Professor Mia Okunfi is number 3 on the ballot paper in what is promising to be hotly contested elections without Ayikwe Otu. We have more in this report.
I am on a mission, and the mission is simple: to put MPP together to break the age. That is my mission.
He is a man most noted for his role in the Kufuor administration as education minister. For many, he is a Kufuor loyalist, through and through. He was not only former President Kufuor's trusted education minister, he was also his minister for transport, harbour and railways. He is obviously a senior member of the party, but has been largely quiet under the President Akufo-Addo regime, serving as board chairman of the Public Procurement Authority. He is no stranger to political contest, having served as Member of Parliament for Techiman North, and comes into the race promising unity, discipline.
That if come 2024, we do not enjoy near absolute unity in the party, then the fight is going to be a lot harder. So that's my number one option. The second one is discipline within the party. Day in, day out, we hear of comments of members of the party against leadership at the constituency level, regional level, and even national level. These comments go even to the president. I think we are guided by the constitution of the party. And using the constitution, we should be able to institute discipline in the party.
Professor Mia Okunfi promises he will institute a welfare scheme which will include end-of-service benefits for party executives.
And on the issue of commitment, maybe departing officers leave their offices with little or nothing to show, having served for so long. And therefore I am proposing that it is about time the party came up with a welfare scheme. Welfare scheme so that our departing officers would leave with, however token, would leave with some benefit that they can show to their families.
The promises are ambitious, but considering that the MPP is attempting to break the 8, something no other political party has done before, his fate is firmly in the hands of the MPP delegates. Can he convince them? Is the man for the job? Find out here on your election headquarters on the 16th of July.
And that's Amaya Okunfi there. We'll see how it turns out.
I will stay on politics, and well, it seems the relationship between President Akufo-Addo and his longtime friend Dr. Rekubobe has deteriorated. Dr. Rekubobe, who referred to the president as his brother for years in an exclusive interview on Asempa FM Sekosisa, and said things are no longer the same between them. According to him, the president nearly poked his eye at a mutual friend's funeral they had both attended, as he had taken offense at his criticism of his administration. An interview that Evans, you had with him some time back. Well, listen to the conversation between him and Obi.
Hey, yeah, Oshama Yatigo, you say how many?
Ordinance when you before Kwanso anasa
before Kwanso. Hey, don't back me when you enjoy your interview, don't back about Evans Mensah.
Yes.
The way no share me. So my committee account in some open.
Hey, Dr. Rakubo, when someone who came there, I'm not
sure.
Sena, Nebuah for some grantees I interview, Nana.
I was me control.
Nana, I'm passing what I'm draw.
With the major in the Mekai, they control there. We are catching the Mekai, they are control.
No, but to say, sir, on my opinion, is a when it is serious.
Hey, yeah, I hear.
No, but say when you're found what? Say, I don't know,
yes, one try.
Yeah, I'll try a assault in the other now.
Assault, yeah, broke with the word, yeah. Assault, because he don't put that here, who's a doctor, Godfrey, chief of staff, no more.
Not Dr. Akoto free any chief of staff in our
I only did any.
So that's Dr. Rekubo there on Ekuti Sen Sampai FM. Well, he's amongst others accusing the president of attempting to poke his eye at a mutual friend's funeral, and he has some witnesses. He's been calling out Dr. Akoto free and the chief of staff and says they were present. So that's how we end tonight's edition of News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM. We have